Hi, today we're going to look at module number 7, and in module number 7 I'm going to talk about how to do reference lines when you do visualizations. Um, Essentially, uh, reference lines are used to uh, refer to a value or values when making business decisions based on some visualizations. For example, we might want take a look at what is the below and above the average sales, below and above profits in an organization, below and above sales performance of particular product category. These are some of the things that we need to look at by using the reference line. Uh, Essentially, most commonly this reference line is most commonly used to visualize the continuous data. So this is not very much appropriate to use on discrete data. This is very much good for continuous data. Now there are four types of reference lines that we are going to talk about today, that I'm going to demonstrate how to use them. The first one is the straight line. Like I mentioned in my previous example, above and below the average or certain value that you want to use to tell a story. The second type of the reference line is the band, where you will have the lower bound and the upper bound. The lower bound correlates to from, and the upper bound correlates to, within which that band there will be certain values that you want to use when you tell a story. Or in addition to that, you can also use in your storytelling the values above and below the band that we are going to talk about today. The third type of reference line that we are going to talk about today is the distribution. How the data set is distributed, for you to talk about the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, so on and so forth. And then these all based on visualizations. The last one is the box plot. Now box plot is technically used to convey the 5-point summary: minimum, maximum, median value, 25th percentile, and 75th percentile kind of thing. So this is a one commonly used great technique to interpret the 5-point summary of a data set. So let's dive into our area of discussion today, the reference line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import a data set from my this thing. I'm going to take the retail data set that we have used in the past, and you will see that the retail data set is imported. I have the first 75 rows already tabularized or tabled, and what we're going to do is we are going to do the first one by selecting sheet number 1. I'm going to name this one retail reference line, or L reference line 1. And now what I'm going to do here is I am going to get the I'm going to pick this one of these measures over here, out of which I'm going to pick the store spend. Let's see, store spend. As you know already that when you pick a measure, it gives you the aggregate value. That's what we see here. Altogether, as an aggregate value, it gives us the store spend to be 3,919. That is not what we need actually. So what I'm going to do is I want to see by the customer ID by dragging and dropping in the column section. Now we can see the in-store spend, how each of these customers, based on their ID number, how much they have spent in store, kind of thing. Now a good business manager would want to see what is the average value of these sales across the board, kind of thing. So that's where we're going to use the first reference line, the straight line. So I'm going to come over here and select this, right click on the Y axis of this visualization, and there will be a dialog box where we have to pick the add reference lines. Now here we are given all four reference lines: the line, band, distribution, and the box plot. Let's pick the first one, which is the entire table. When I say entire table, we're talking about the entire table, this whole table. So I want to see the store spend with the average value, and here if I hit OK, what will happen is it will show you the average line. So we know the sales anywhere below the average sales, or this amount of money spent, and above the average spend. Now, more than this, if we can have this number also visible here, that will be great for us to tell a story. So what we're going to do is we're going to click right click, and then edit reference line. This time, instead of label a computation, I'm going to say give me a value. I'm going to leave this tooltip automatic, and I'm asking only for the line. And then if you want to format this line, you can give a different color. I'm going to pick something like that can contrast with the existing colors of the bar chart. And then if you want to fill above, I would say I would pick kind of a greenish color, and below I'm gonna pick more of grayish color. Now I can tell a good story based on this line. So my average spend of my customers, based on my customer spending, my average is $52.2 or whatever. Anywhere this ID, this customer 12, ID number 12, this customer has bought a very high spend a high amount of money relative to others, followed by this guy and this guy. And those who are relative to our reference line, which is the average spend, these customers are below the average spend. So if we are proposing some strategy, what can we do to motivate these guys or encourage them to spend more inside our store? These are some of the strategies that you want to think about. So this is how you use the reference line, the straight line. Let's look at the second type, which is the band, for which I am going to go to data source and import a different data set. So I'm going to say onto my left top under the retail data source, I'm going to say new data source, and this time I'm going to import the sample superstore, which we are very much familiar with. And then once it is imported, this time I'm going to use the sample store, and then I'm going to use the orders. I'm going to drag and drop that one, and this time I'm going to use sample superstore. Let's go to a new sheet I'm going to create, and I am going to use the sample superstore. I'm going to highlight that one, and then let's take how you would use this one under different circumstances. right? So I'm going to take sales in my row, and then I'm going to take the category in my columns. I'm going to take the subcategories. Where is it? Subcategories, somewhere here. Yep. Now, all this time in our previous visualization, we looked at one straight thing for the whole visualization. Now, this time we're going to see across different how to use the same reference line across different categories. So I'm gonna rename this one reference line across categories. Okay, now this time I'm going to use the same process, y-axis and right click, add reference line. Earlier, if you can remember, we used the entire table, which gave us one straight line. That is how you get by default. Now this time I'm going to say give me based on per pane. Now you can see I'm going to make the same change here. Give me a value, and I'm not going to use the colors this time. And this time you can see this is one pane, which is the furniture category. This is another pane, which is the office supplies category. And this is the third category, which is a technology, and that also presented as another pane. So each category will have its own average sales done. So this is the average for furniture, 185,500. 79,894 is the average sale for office supplies, while technology has 209,039 as the average sales. So you can use interchangeably. If you want a straight line across the board, you can use that, or if you want to use it under different categories, you can use that one when you tell a story. Let's move in. That's how you do a reference straight line across the board and for different categories. Now let's talk about a band. So I'm going to introduce a new sheet, and I'm going to name it as band as a reference line. So I'm going to bring in sales, and I'm going to bring in the categories. Like I did in the previous one, I'm going to bring the subcategories as well this time. Okay, now let's introduce the second type of reference line, which is the band. Okay, x-axis, right click, add reference line. This time I'm going to pick band for each segment or each category. I'm going to say starting from the minimum, I'm going to leave it as it is, and then I'm going to say, or maybe let's do it average, and I want the number, the value, and then this is the band from is the lower bound, band 2 is the upper bound. So I'm going to say average and the maximum, and then I'm going to say value for this one, and then I'm going to say okay. Now you can see a band is created for each and every category here. Let's use this entire view. Now it's pretty clear over here that a band is created. The band, this is the lower end and the upper bound, lower bound and the upper bound for each category. So this is the average sale, and this is the maximum sale in this category, furniture category. And office supplies, this is the average and this is the maximum. So you can use these kind of reference lines when you talk about for you to tell a effective story about a business context that you have in hand. Okay, I hope this is clear. Let's move on to the distribution. So I'm going to add a new worksheet here and name it as distribution. This is also a kind of reference line that we see to explain about the mean, standard deviation, so on and so forth. So let's take the same variables, sales, and the categories, and I'm going to take the subcategories as well, like I did earlier. This time, I want to explain how to do a distribution. Let's not take the, let's try only with the categories. Let's bring the entire view. And this time I'm going to use distribution as the reference line. Third type, add a reference line. This time I'm going to use distribution. Per pane, I'm going to use, let's try using entire value. Now here, you can use to understand, to explain or interpret the distribution in different from different angles. Now here, by default, you get 60 and 80% of the average. In other words, from this is the 60% of average and this is the 80% of average. That's how it is distributed. If you may give a value, you will see that this is the distribution between the 60% average and the 80% average. Now, in case you want to change this one, let's say you want it in a percentile, 95th percentile. You can get in quantiles, 4 different quantiles. You can get it in standard deviation. So different perspectives to distribution can be given when you tell a story. I want to go back. Let's see if you increase this one from, let's say, -1 to, let's say, from starting from -3, which is the normal distribution. And then if you hit over here, you can see how it is distributed between minus standard deviation 3 to plus standard deviation 3. This is the distribution that you can think of. Okay, let's go back to our original one, which is the percentage. Here, by default, you get 60 and 80, but still you can change it the way you want it to customize it. Say, for example, I want 75 and 95 as the distribution in terms of the percentage. It will give me that as well. So this is also a wonderful reference line that you can use in order to talk about or tell a story when you are dealing with a specific business context. Let's move on to the last or the fourth type of reference line, which is the box plot. Right now. Okay, this time I am going to use the retail data source. So I'm gonna pick that one and I'm going to introduce a new sheet to that. So I want to see this time 2 variables. Let's look at the customer spending, store spending, and let's see, online spending. Let's do this way. Oh no, that's not, yeah, that becomes this thing. Okay, now what has happened here is, let's use only one for the time being. Now when you use this one in a row, as we already know that you get an aggregate value here. See, if you hit the label, you can see this is the aggregate value of this store spend. I'm going to get rid of that. And what I'm going to do is I want to see a different way in order to use as a box plot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to analysis, and then I'm going to say I'm going to deselect aggregate measures. Now I see it has given me the starting point to develop a box plot. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to use the same process that I used earlier to develop a reference line. So I'm going to hit right click on the y-axis and add a reference line. And I'm going to use the last one, which is the fourth one, as the reference line for the box plot. Now in this box plot, I'm requesting the Tableau to use 1.5 times as the from the IQR. I want to just hide the underlying marks. If you want some color, you can use some colors to make it a little appealing kind of thing. Now what it does is it provides you a whisker box plot. Now this is the whisker line. This is the upper whisker. There is also a lower whisker, but only thing is depending on the nature of the data distribution in a variable. In this case, the lower whisker is 0 because that's how the data is distributed in this variable. And this is the 25th percentile, and this is the median value, and this is the 75th percentile, and this is your maximum value. What is this then? This is the width from the box. Any value that fall beyond this width of 1.5 from the box, I'm referring to these values, are considered to be outliers. So that is something that you learned in your basic statistics class. So this is how you do a box plot. Now, why box plot is important? It is important for you to talk about the 5-point summary. The minimum value, 25th percentile, median, 75th percentile, and the maximum value. These are some of the things that you can use. Okay, so this is the upper whisker. You have 167 as the value. Look at the outlier over here, 453. These are outliers that falls beyond the 1.5 width from the box. Hope this is helpful for you to tell a story. This is how you do the reference lines, the 4 types of reference lines: line, band, distribution, and box plot, when you tell an effective story. Hope this is helpful, and I'll come with another quick video for the next demonstration. Until then, bye.